My carnivore coworkers keep trying to eat me. So there I was, hiding under my desk, trying to make my 3-ton body as small as dinosaurly possible. My brand new tie was digging into my neck folds. I could hear them. The heavy, sniffing footsteps of my boss, Mr. Rexford, just outside my cubicle. His voice, usually a booming baritone reserved for quarterly earnings calls, was now a low, predatory rumble. "Johnson, are you in there? We're about to circle back on the quarterly projections. And by that, I mean circle you like prey." A bead of sweat trickled down my frill. Yep, that's me, Stan Johnson, the new intern. On my first day, I was more worried about the office dress code than becoming the daily special. So, how did I end up on the menu at a Fortune 500 company? Let's just say it all started this morning with a frankly dangerous amount of optimism. Section 1. A new beginning. You know that first day of work energy? The kind where you iron your best shirt, polish your horns to a high gloss, and practice a firm handshake in the mirror. Well, my hooves aren't great for handshakes, but the enthusiasm was there. I was starting my dream internship at Apex Predators Incorporated, one of the biggest financial firms on the continent. I was their first ever herbivore hire. A diversity initiative, they called it. I called it my big break. I'd spent the whole weekend memorizing their corporate values: synergy, disruption, proactive growth, voracious ambition. I thought it was just inspiring business jargon. Turns out, when your CEO is a Tyrannosaurus Rex, you should probably take the word voracious a bit more literally. Walking into the lobby was awe-inspiring. Gleaming marble floors, floor-to-ceiling windows, and a sleek, modern design. Sure, the doorways were suspiciously tall, and the elevators looked like they could transport a small yacht. But I just figured they had a great facilities budget. My new ID badge had my photo on it, looking chipper and full of life. A before picture, I'd soon realize. I was shown to my desk in the open plan office, right in the middle of everything. "We want you right in the heart of the action, Stan," my HR guide, a perpetually nervous pterodactyl, had chirped before flying off to her nest in the rafters. I set up my personal fern, logged into my computer, and took a deep, satisfied breath of recycled office air. I had made it. I was a professional. For about 7 minutes. Section 2. The synergy huddle. That's when I met the team. First, my direct supervisor, Mr. Rexford. He strode over, his massive head literally blotting out the sun from the window. He had a smile that was less a welcome and more a preview of his dental collection. Each tooth was the size of a stapler. "Stan, welcome aboard," he boomed, clapping me on the shoulder with one of his famously tiny hands. It felt like being tapped by a confused chicken wing. "We are thrilled to have some fresh meat in the office. I mean fresh perspective." Fresh perspective. Before I could process that, I was flanked. On either side of me, appearing as if from nowhere, were the velociraptors from the marketing department. Brenda, Kyle, and Chad. They were lean, twitchy, and communicated in a series of disturbing clicks and guttural hisses that they tried to pass off as ideation. "So great to finally meet you," Brenda said, her eyes not blinking. Not even once. Kyle just stared at the thickest part of my thigh, occasionally licking his lips. Chad was tapping a terrifyingly long claw on my desk, making a rhythmic tink, tink, tink sound. "All right, team," Mr. Rexford roared, rubbing his little hands together. "Time for the morning synergy huddle. Let's circle up." This was it, my first corporate meeting. I eagerly trotted to the center of the room. The 4 of them formed a circle around me. It felt snug. Mr. Rexford leaned in, his hot breath smelling faintly of last quarter's underperforming intern. "The goal here is to break down silos, Stan. Get really close and foster a sense of integrated teamwork." Brenda the velociraptor took a half step closer. "Exactly. We just want to sink our teeth into this quarter's key performance indicators. As she said, sink our teeth, a small line of drool escaped the corner of her mouth. Kyle and Chad started to slowly crouch, their bodies tensing like predators about to spring. And that's when the little fern of optimism in my soul was violently uprooted, stomped on, and composted. They weren't talking about business. This wasn't a huddle. It was a hunt. My brain went into full panic mode. Oh, gosh, would you look at the time? I stammered, pointing vaguely at a wall. I completely forgot to align my TPS reports with the new cover sheet paradigm. Be right back. I scurried away, not daring to look behind me. I could feel 4 sets of very disappointed, very predatory eyes boring into my back. Section 3. A day of near misses. From that moment on, my first day became a real-life survival horror game with fluorescent lighting. The attempts on my life were relentless, and always cloaked in the most painfully cheerful corporate politeness. The first incident happened by the water cooler. Chad, the claw-tapping velociraptor, slithered up to me. Hey, Stan, new guy. Let me show you where the good water is. The filtered stuff. It's in the back. He led me toward a dark, ominous supply closet at the far end of the office. Peeking inside, I saw it wasn't filled with water filters, but with a stack of giant bibs, an industrial-sized salt shaker, and what looked like a set of barbecue tools designed for a blue whale. I gave him a weak smile. You know, I'm actually trying to cut back on liquids. Doctor's orders very into dehydration these days. I power walked away, my throat suddenly as dry as the Cretaceous desert. Next came the lunch invitation. Around noon, Mr. Rexford's massive head appeared over my cubicle wall. Johnson, big plans for lunch? Before I could answer, he said, excellent. The executive team is having a little get-together. We're having a new intern. He paused, his eyes glazing over for a second. That is, we're having the new intern over, for a bite, to eat, with us. I quickly held up the sad-looking fern salad I had packed. Oh, thank you, sir, but I'm on a very strict diet, mostly ... Leaves and crippling anxiety. I prefer to eat at my desk, maximizes productivity. Mr. Rexford's jaw twitched, and for a second, I thought his tiny arms might just vibrate off his body from sheer repressed rage. The afternoon brought the printer incident. Brenda shrieked from across the room. Oh no, the printer's jammed. Stan, you're new. You're good with technology, right? Can you help? Wary, I approached the hulking machine. She pointed to the paper tray. I think the jam is deep in there. You'll have to get your whole head in to see it. As I cautiously bent down, I saw 2 things. A single, crumpled piece of paper, and Kyle, the other raptor, hiding behind the printer, holding a knife and fork. I stood up abruptly. You know what? I think the problem's a network issue. I reached behind the printer, found the main power cord, and gave it a firm yank. The entire bank of computers on that side of the office went dark. Amid the groans and chaos, I slipped back to my desk. The final attempt before the grand finale was the most audacious. A calendar invite popped up on my screen. Urgent performance review, Mr. Rexford's office. I'd been there for 6 hours. What was there to review? I walked into his office on trembling legs. He sat behind a desk the size of a car. Stan, he began, I've been reviewing your performance, and I see so much ... raw potential. I want to absorb your unique talents directly into the company's core. As he spoke, he pulled a massive, glistening carving fork from a desk drawer. Just a ceremonial letter opener, he said casually. A family heirloom. I knew I had to distract him. Wow, I said, my voice trembling. As he launched into a long, boastful saga, I slowly backed out of the office. Section 4. The final countdown, which brings us back to now. 4:45 p.m. Hiding under my desk, heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. The corporate facade was gone. The lights had dimmed for end-of-day energy conservation, plunging the office into a terrifying twilight. The hunt was on, and there was no pretense left. I could hear the click-clack of raptor claws on the ceiling tiles above me. They were in the vents. And then Mr. Rexford's voice, right outside my cubicle. "Johnson, are you in there? We're about to circle back on the quarterly projections. And by that, I mean circle you like prey." I peeked over the top of my desk. It was worse than I thought. Mr. Rexford was slowly lumbering toward me, and the 3 raptors had dropped from the ceiling, fanning out in a classic pincer formation. This was it, the final push. My eyes darted to the large clock on the wall. 4:59, 1 minute to freedom. But a minute can be an eternity when you're about to become a team dinner. I needed a miracle. My eyes scanned the wall, past the fire extinguisher, past the thermostat, and then I saw it. A huge, gleaming, candy-red button under a glass case. The label read, "Meteor Drill." It was a ridiculous, over-the-top safety feature for a company run by dinosaurs, and it was my only shot. With a roar of pure terror, I bolted from my desk. The raptors shrieked and lunged. Mr. Rexford let out a bellow and charged, his jaws wide open. It all happened in slow motion. I dove, my horns scraping against the carpet, my hand outstretched. I flipped up the glass cover and slammed my hoof down on that beautiful, beautiful button. Instantly, the world became a symphony of glorious chaos. Steel shutters crashed down over every window and door with a deafening clang. Red emergency lights began to flash, bathing the office in a hellish glow. A booming, automated voice echoed from hidden speakers. "Impending extinction-level event detected. Please proceed to the sub-level. Bunker in an orderly fashion. This is not a drill." The effect on my coworkers was instantaneous and beautiful. Their predatory hunger was immediately replaced by a much deeper, more primal terror. Mr. Rexford stopped dead, his head cocked toward the ceiling, whimpering. Brenda, Kyle, and Chad started running in frantic circles, crashing into cubicle walls and screeching in pure, unadulterated panic. Their instincts screamed, "Meteor, not intern." Section 5, saved by the bell. And then right in the middle of all that beautiful, life-saving pandemonium, a gentle chime echoed through the office. Ding-dong, the 5 o'clock bell. Everything stopped. The alarm cut off. The steel shutters retracted with a smooth whir. The normal, soul-crushing fluorescent lights flickered back on. Mr. Rexford straightened his tie and cleared his throat, the panic completely gone from his eyes. The raptors smoothed down their feathers, stood up straight, and looked as if they had just been discussing spreadsheets. Mr. Rexford walked over and clapped me on the back, almost knocking me over. "Johnson, good work today?" He boomed, his friendly CEO voice fully restored. "Real disruptive thinking with that Meteor Drill. You really shook things up. Love the initiative." Brenda came over and handed me a small Tupperware container. "Leftovers from the potluck," she said with a warm, non-homicidal smile. "Don't worry, it's the herbivore option." I opened it. It was a single, slightly wilted piece of lettuce. They all wished me a great evening, gathered their briefcases, and headed for the elevator, chatting about the terrible traffic on the 405. I was left alone in the silent, slightly damaged office, heart still pounding, but very much in one piece. Conclusion: as I walked out of the building into the cool evening air, my phone buzzed. It was a calendar invite from Mr. Rexford for 9:05 a.m. tomorrow. The title, Breakfast Brainstorm. I stared at the notification, then up at the sky. My health insurance better cover dismemberment. So yeah, that was my first day. If you've ever had a coworker who made you feel like you were on the menu metaphorically, or, not go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It would really help me afford better running shoes. I have a feeling I'm going to need them.